GariTalks. I wanted to talk today about my journey with likability. Um, from when I was a kid, like real little, I feel like I was an eccentric kid for sure. And I cared about what people thought about me. I remember when I was little, kids used to make fun of me for being Asian, and they do the Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these jokes and ching chong wongs and stuff. And that hit for a while until and nobody really taught me how to deal with that. I feel like my mom's response was like not great. It wasn't like a bad response, but it was a problem solving kind of thing, but never. Or my mom's thing often with my racial difference was like, well, you're my kid, so it doesn't matter what anybody else says. So I was like, I mean, that's cool, but like. And she would also say things like, it's beautiful that you're mixed. So that I could always read into a little bit more, I guess. It'd be confusing, right? I believe my mom more than the kids, so that was good, at least at the time. And then I went through my phase of being like mean as fuck, like physically violent, probably from like 4th grade to like 6th grade. Yeah, and then after that, just mean, like sarcastic, direct, like brutally. I will flame niggas. It's sometimes funny to be like, but it was not funny. It was not consensual, right? So that's why it was not cool. But sometimes that's why I be looking at kids like, bro, the mouth on kids be wilding. And then college was interesting, right? College was like my mirror moment, right? Like everything stopped because I was like, what the fuck is going on here in this place? This fucking Matrix Center. Like, it was trippy to be at college. So trippy. To be here learning about down the hill, right? Like how we're all here. It fucked me up. I'm still always unpacking my college experience. But I think it was the first time I took all the things I had done and that had happened to me and faced them, right? It was like, wow, I was shitty. I was kind of an asshole to a lot of people. Fuck. And then I think it was in sitting and I was also super depressed, right? So it's like a lot of the lens of what was mean is now being mean to myself. So mean to myself, assessing all the things I had done, and also unpacking. That was the first time I started unpacking childhood stuff and being like, because why was I so mean? I was like, all my life I feel like I've been mean. What the fuck? And as I thought about it, I was like, oh shit. And it was so yeah, it really damaged my self-esteem, and I really did not like myself, and it was really hard to I feel like I often thought of, and because I was also in this place where I was constantly disappointing myself in the people around me, my depression was having me supporting my not showing up in places. So I'd say I'd go places and then not show up, or just not be able to do things. I had no capacity. So I was in a really fucked up place with my own integrity, right? So I'm looking at myself kind of crazy. So looking to other people for their approval, but then also not believing them, and then also hating that I was in a place where I was looking for external validation anyway. It was a really tough time. And then I hit City Year. City Year was the first time. City Year is the first time. That City Year really changed my life in a lot of ways. I would not call it a net positive or healing experience. It was very harmful, actually. And also so transformative, as a lot of harmful things can be, which is, I mean, for better or for worse, right? Had to do a little a little spit. And in City Year was the first time I encountered personal development, and the idea that something that you thought was like a permanent fixture as a part of your personality. So for me, being mean or being unliked when it came to truth, I learned that you can change those things. It's not true, right? There's no part of you that is permanent, right? You started as a fucking thought and then a speck grew arms and legs and a face and shit. And then from a baby, you're like a whole thing, right? So no part of this is permanent. So why would you think that personality traits would be permanent, right? Or anything about you would be permanent. Right? Even the soul, it doesn't even stay in this flesh. So nothing is permanent, right? But it was the first time I learned about how you can actually change that, right? So in seeking and receiving feedback is really important, right, for improving things. So like my team would always say, oh, we love everything, but your tone, bro, your tone be making me feel away. And so I would ask them, how would you prefer me to say things to you, right? What's another way I could say this? Especially if I was like blown and pissed and this is why being honest is so important, right? Like I'm actually like blown away and I want to freak out, but I'm working on it, right? So I won't. But you tell me what we about to do. If I need you to meet this expectation, we've already had 3 conversations. This is the final one that I'm going to have because I'm really about to lose it. You tell me what needs to happen so that we don't have to have this conversation again. And being honest, like that's when I learned like my tone can exist and not be demeaning, right? Mean to me comes from demeaning, right? Where you're putting somebody down and hurting them and there's an intention to inflict harm, right? To have it be felt. Because the truth, I don't really need the truth to be felt because I know the truth will be felt. But the thing that's dangerous about feedback for me, and the reason it comes up, I'm bringing this up in this conversation about likability, is because for me, and I think for a lot of people, self-improvement can feel endless, which is why I actually stopped entirely doing this self-improvement thing. And more so, the words I use are also very different because I don't really like the language that is around that. But I feel like feedback can go from how can I improve upon this thing? How can I convey this better? How can I do this better to like trying to change every part of yourself, one. But then also like how are you liking what I'm doing? Right? Because if you're asking for feedback and you're depending more on the outer feedback and not balancing it on with your own, or just like your own self-esteem is kind of off, right? Then you're looking to other people and what they say about you for truth. And after city year, that's kind of where I was, right? So like my self-esteem was higher than college, but my validation was all outward. It was all me trying to get stuff from the outside, learning more about the importance of the inner, but realizing that I had no inner validation. So trying to bridge the things were crazy. And that's also when I came back to New York, around that time I did the and that shit fucked my self-esteem up even more. The experience of it itself was great and beautiful, and watching the videos was really cool too. But the comments, right? Thousands of comments underneath saying all kinds of shit about me. I read through. Now probably I can't say all of them, but like at the time, like 90% of them, just in there, right? And in the comments, both responding to people with 2 purposes, right? Sometimes being defensive, right? If I felt offended, and also providing, like, engaging with people. So providing context with people who wanted to talk. It's so interesting when you can provide context in a way that's engaging versus like, but this is what, right? There's a difference. I actually launched my YouTube, if anybody know, for y'all who've been here since day 1, I suppose, right? All my day 1ers. Know that I started, my first video was like providing context to that interview, to those interviews. And someone correctly pointed out, called me out for it, that I was kind of like defending myself through it. And it was like, you don't have to defend yourself. This is your shit. This is your fucking life. And that's where I'm at. That happened like in 2019, 2020. It's taken me from then until now, since then, to kind of really internalize that. Like I went back and forth with likability and stuff like that. But where I am currently today is like, I honestly could care less about if you like what I have to say, to be honest. And it feels harsh to say that. And I feel like that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Like, I feel like I can be harsh, but also because the truth is fucking frank, right? If I don't care about what you have to say, if I don't care about what you think, I feel like I would rather somebody say that to me than me get into an interaction with you and then you bullshit it with me, no? Like, say you don't actually care what I have to say and we getting into a conversation, but you're not saying that and you're just trying to be likable with me. But the whole time you actually don't give a fuck what I have to say. So it actually falls upon deaf ears and we just wasting time. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. And I also feel like our fear of being disliked and like keep holding our tongues for the sake of likability is dangerous. It's dangerous. When you hold your tongue because you could be the only one who sees some shit, but you don't want to speak on it because of whatever the fuck. And you're right, there likely will be conflict after that. There could be strife after that. It could get real uncomfortable after that, actually. It might. I want to say it will, but it might not. And also because it might not. But like, it serves nobody for us to be quiet about. My thing is, if God gave you the words, if you felt called to, you feel inspired to do the thing, then do it. It was for you. I don't know. Because I think about kids. Kids are so fucking honest, right? How do we get so far away from that? Because we trade honesty for likability, right? We trade having to be with what it like, and that's just something that parents, I think, also play a big role in. I was reading these comments. There's this person on Instagram, Rain Dove Model. They're a trans activist model and like just a really great human to watch interacting with other humans. They get a lot of comments about all kinds of stuff, and so some mom was very infuriated talking about how their daughter is a she, and I refuse to accept all this shit. And then Rain was really going into just talking to them about it. But the truth of the matter is, like, you being upset about how your kid feels doesn't change the fact that your kid feels that way. And actually, all you have succeeded in doing now is creating an unwelcome and unsafe space for them to explore what is already present. And that's what happens when we don't speak the truth. And we prefer not only likability, but comfort, right? Because likability is comfort. It is this illusion of safety. Because the fact of the matter is there's no safety if I can't say the truth. We don't live in a safe space, y'all. We don't. This world is dangerous. As I've been doing this van life shit, my next tips for my newsletter, it won't be a video. My next tips for my newsletter about is gonna have travel tips and stuff. Like, I learned about what happens with bears, bruh. First of all, bears are a thing that happen. Like, the world is chaos, and like, do I believe that we shouldn't strive to create places where we can feel secure with each other and we can create security? I think yes. But also we have to recognize, like, it's a wild place. And these strange fixtures of comfort, they gotta go. We gotta stop. We really live in a place where people, because they're so active, because we still, amidst all of this, people are self-learning how to self-regulate, which is fine, right? But we're also like we're grown, right? It's so much easier when you're a kid because all your emotional reaction patterns are fresh. Versus now, they're kind of ingrained. So you're unlearning and learning something new at the same time. It's a lot. But I don't know. I'm very excited for where we're at. And it's a hard journey for myself too. And it's hard. There's times I record whole videos and will just not post them because I don't want to share my thought like that. I don't know what it will be like when this thought exists outside of me and is outside and people are going to say something and da-da-da. Talk about it. I don't say shit just to say shit. I don't say things just to incite violence, just to stir things up. There's a purpose behind the things that I do. And so, yeah, this is me acknowledging for myself how much I've grown, and also how much more room I have to go, and also this current journey I'm about to step into, being a lot more truthful with people, more truthful with it. Like, we have to be more truthful because we really fucking around playing all these games. I'm fine, I'm good. No, maybe if you actually talked about how you're miserable and you hate your job, maybe if more people actually, because we kind of talk about that, we know that, but if we were actually having truthful conversations, there's no way it could look like this. But too many people still fine and good and dandy and shit, so then things won't change. So don't sacrifice your truth for your likability. Fuck likability. Fuck it. Because, like, there's always somebody for somebody. That's something too. Like, you don't even need to go, like, as long as you fuck with yourself, there's a big part of that, but like, you have to fuck with yourself most. And I don't want to bring relationships and other people into it, but dead ass, there's somebody for somebody. And even if there's nobody for you, I don't know. There is. It's just like a false statement. I want to say, I don't know. I just don't agree that there's nobody. How could there be nobody? Like, I was going to say, I mean, we could get real esoteric about it too. How you are all, we're all reincarnation and cycles in this way. We're not going to get into all this. But yeah, those are my thoughts about this journey I've been on. I'm trying to think if I have any tips to like share about that. I feel like the biggest tip I have is honestly like, when it feels scary is when you gotta do it. And that's the part that's like hard, right? Like, this is where emotions and thoughts, you need to have a better understanding of them, right? Because your emotions do serve to protect you in the most like instinctual way. So if you've constantly been afraid of speaking on stage, but when presented with opportunity, you're going to literally respond with panic. It's going to be like you're dying because you're facing the death of the part of you that doesn't do this shit. And our instinct is to pull back, right? And not go into it, but you actually have to lean into it and go into it, and that's where you expand. But it's also because we're not super in tune with our intuition. Sometimes our intuition is actually trying to prevent us from encountering danger, right? And you have to learn the difference between what is like a perceived fear and like a threat on your life. George Zimmerman, right? But this is why we got to talk about emotions too. But that's more on that. On the note of emotions, as I close this video, check out my website. I have built it out to be, I'm so pleased with it. I'm building this emotional resource center. I'm building a resource center to talk about a lot of different things. But right now I'm working on the emotional piece, deciphering the language of emotions. And it's really fucking cool. So you should check it out, GariTalks.com. Yeah, that's what I got.